and a good afternoon to you. This is the Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group, or known as WinSIG, for Sunday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, 2021. I'm Huey Poplock, and we're glad you're here. Let's close that and oops, go back to here. And the meeting notes for today. This one. This is the WinSig website. You'll notice on the right is where you can subscribe to our mailing list if you're not getting our monthly newsletter, which gives you the topics we're going to cover, usually an article of some kind of information and some other news, and a link to last month's recording and information. You can sign up for the newsletter. It doesn't cost you anything. And all you have to do is you can see, you put in your email address, first name and last name, and that's all there is to it. Please do so. And every month I post what we're going to cover. Not a lot of topics for today because the first one's a 20-minute video that I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to cover the others. And then the last item is how to create a Windows 10 USB recovery drive. I'm going to do that tomorrow at Tech for Seniors. I am going to talk about Tech for Seniors, and in case some of you aren't on there, and a couple other things as well. But let's do the Windows Tip app part 2, and I am going to do that from here. And hopefully you'll be able to hear this. Hello, I'm Huey Poplock. I'm going to be talking about Windows Tips. It's an app from Microsoft that's part of Windows 10. The Tips app in Windows 10 is full of short and sweet tips that help you get the most out of Windows 10. Each tip has a button on it so you can try it out with a single click, or you can learn more. All you need is a couple of minutes to go through a set of tips, and new tips are added every so often. And to get the latest tips, make sure your Windows is connected to the internet. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. You come down to the search box and type in tips. And it will be up here. You just click on it and it'll open. So let's make it just a little bit larger so we can get more on the screen. And you can check out what the latest tips are. You can explore what's new, but there's a list of several topics, many topics. Each one contains more tips, and they're called cards. Today, we're going to use the tips under the topic of Get Started with Windows 10. There are 10 tips. Let's get started. First card is the ultimate search box. Type an app or file name, email subject, or favorite celebrity into the search box on the taskbar, the bottom bar on your screen, and you'll get the results on your PC, like apps, files, and messages, and the web. Use the tabs at the top to narrow your search. Learn more about searching in Windows, and there's a link there. So let's try it now. It comes up. We're going to type in here for the search. We're going to type in CFCS. And there is a spreadsheet that I have, and I could bring that up. I can search the web. There are documents. There's all kinds of folders. There's all kinds of information. I can narrow it down from here. Let's go to card number 2. Customize your start menu. Pin apps to the start menu for quick access to what's important. Select the Start Windows key and press and hold or right-click the app you want to pin. Pin to start. You can also unpin apps that you don't need. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about. Here's your start menu. If you want to right mouse click here, pin to start, and it's now here, and you can move it around. And you can unpin another item. Let's say, I don't know that I have anything on here that I don't want to have. So let's take another here, pin to start. And now if we don't want it, we click here and we can unpin it from the start and it goes away. It hasn't deleted it. It's just turned it off of the start menu. Now let's click on open the start settings. Here are the start settings. You'll see that some are turned on, some are turned off. Let's look at what they are. First, show more tiles on start. And that's turned off. So if it looks like this. If we turn it on, probably not going to look much different. We'll leave it off. Show app list in the start menu. What that means is the app list here. So let's turn that off to see what it does. Now you don't have that list. I prefer it, so I'm going to turn it back on. So you can see here that it's there. Show recently added apps. That's turned off. If we turn that on, when we look at our start menu, we will now see at the top here, recently added. So if you add programs on a regular basis or applications on a regular basis, you want to make sure you can find them easily. You would put them there. I don't leave it on. Show the most used apps. If you're using the same apps over and over again, you may want to turn that on, and it'll be right up here as well. Now, what if I want both of those? We'll turn both of those on, and both will be there. There's the recently added and the most used, and then alphabetical, all of the apps that are on your computer. So I am going to turn those two off. Show suggestions occasionally in start. I don't use that. I'm not sure what it will show you. Use the start full screen. If we turn that on, when you hit the start button, it'll be the full screen. Again, I don't like that. I want it just a part of the menu or part of the screen, so I don't do it full screen. Now, one thing you can do is you can resize this to make it bigger or smaller, and then scroll it if you wish. So I have everything showing without being full screen. The last item here is show recently opened items in jump lists on the start or task bar in File Explorer and Quick Access. Turn that on. Be honest with you, I am not sure what that does. But it does have to do in your File Explorer. But choose which folders appear on the start. Now, what do we mean by that? Notice here that we have documents, pictures, settings, power, and then my account. If I choose what's there, I can turn on some others. I could turn on File Explorer. I could have the downloads. And if I wanted the personal folder, everything is under my username. But we'll just keep those. And now when we click this, you'll see that we have documents. Then we also have the downloads, pictures, File Explorer, settings, and power. So they're right here. And if I wanted to remove any of those, I can do that as well. I don't need the pictures, and I don't need the downloads there. And I don't even do the documents there. So I just want the settings file explorer. And so now when I do it, it's fairly clean. It's just File Explorer, Settings, and Power. Let's go to the next card. Card number 3, Organize Start with Folders. You can have folders in your Start menu. Let's take a look at what that means. I've got OneNote and Microsoft Edge here. If I want to make a folder with those two, I just bring this one over and drop it on that, and now it's created a folder, and we'll call this test. Now if I move test back up here, you will see that the two are in a folder. I could take all of the Microsoft Office items and put them in one folder, and then click on one of them through the folder. You can also reverse that by clicking the folder. It puts it down here. I can then slide this one over here. Click it once, then bring it up, and the folder goes away. The next card is Finding Settings Quickly. Often we go to the Settings panel or the Settings app, and we don't know where to find what we're looking for. Well, there's a great search within the Settings program. When you open your settings, you'll see there's a box right here that takes you right to it. And all you have to do is type in something that you're looking for. So if we're looking for something with the mouse, there's the mouse settings. Change your mouse settings, change your mouse pointer size, change how far you scroll with the mouse wheel, and the ease of access mouse settings, and then you can show all of the results. So whatever you're looking for. So if you're looking for the mouse settings, you click there, takes you right to it. The next card is Sign In with one account on all of your devices. Select the Start button, Settings and Accounts, and then Email and Accounts, and then select Add a Microsoft account to sign in. On each of your devices, sign in with that account. I don't use this, so I can't demonstrate it. Let's go to the next card. Quickly change settings in the Action Center. First of all, if you're not using the Action Center, you should be. Let's open it by clicking here, and then I'll show you how to do it on the screen. In your Action Center, first of all, you have several items here, and they may be different on yours. You can collapse those so you only see the top few. And if you expand it, you see more. And you can activate, turn on things, and do things in this Action Center. You can set it up and add things to it. And edit actions as well. At the top are where the notifications are, and currently I have no notifications. Now I am going to close this. To get quickly to the Action Center, just come down here and click that. And that's the notification button, and it brings it up. As soon as you click outside of it, it goes away. Card number 7, get apps for your PC. And a good way to do that, besides going to websites and so on, would be to go to the Start button and then go to the Microsoft Store. When you click on it, there is the Microsoft Store. You can search, you can find games and programs. You can search with titles, find something that you want. When you find it, you can, if you already have it on your computer, it'll say you owned it, you already own it, or if it's free, if it's installed, and then if there's a cost, it'll tell you how much, and you can find all of the programs that Microsoft has put into their Microsoft Store for you to download and install. This is the safest way to install a program on Windows. The next card is keep your PC up to date. Get the latest features and security updates. You select the Start, Settings, Update and Security, Windows Update, and check for updates. So let's go to Settings. We can click here, or we'll come down to here and go to Settings. And then we have to slide down a little bit because my window isn't quite big enough. And it says Update and Security. And then you go to Windows Update. Now we're there. I don't want to click check for updates because if there is one, it's going to try to update and we may be here for hours. So I don't want to do that. So I am not going to click, but I do want to show you some things, and you can also view some optional updates. But notice here, there are some choices you have. You can pause updates for 7 days. So if you're in the process of doing something, working on a special project that you don't want to be interrupted on, you can pause so no updates are done. You can change active hours. You can have certain active hours. Now the updates may go on in the background, but what's going to happen is it's not going to reboot on you in the middle of something during those hours. Now you can also update, you can view your update history and some advanced options. Let's look at the view update history, because you should check this every once in a while. And you'll see that the feature updates is when the big two updates a year are. It will tell you that you've done them and that it was successfully installed. I did mine for the 20H2. I did mine on October 22nd. And then you can also click and see what's new in the update. And then there are quality updates. There happens to be 14 of them. And you'll see that they'll say successfully installed and give you the dates. If one didn't install properly, you will see it will say it's unsuccessful. You may have to go back and try it again, or you may see above it where it was successful, where it did try again, and it did get installed. So you want to check that every once in a while and make sure there wasn't an update that just didn't get installed. There are also driver updates, definition updates for your security, and some other updates, and it tells you how many are there. And if you look at the driver updates, you'll see I put one in for my mouse and for my camera. One for the printer got updated at the end of November. And then under the definition updates, you can see that there were updates to the Windows Defender, and there was one on the 9th of December, there was one in November, so it's about once a month that they get updated. So that's your Windows update. And make sure you do check and make sure you do keep your computer up to date. The last two cards in this group deal with helping you learn Windows. The first is learn from the experts. Windows experts can help you get the best out of Windows. Visit the Windows community to learn about how to be more productive with Windows. And if you want to learn more, you just click here. It will then take you to a website. They have a newsletter, but they have many, many videos to help you, tutorials. Look at the number of pages there are with this, with 3, 6, 12, with a dozen on each page. And let's just click another page just to show you. Lots of good help that you may not have realized that's available for you. And finally, our last card is see the Quick Start Guide to Windows 10. All-in-one guide for the fast and easy tips to help you set up, personalize, and protect your Windows 10 device. Just click Get Started. It again opens up a website. You'll see here download the Quick Start Guide to Windows 10. Let's go ahead and do that. There it is. And it is a PDF. And it is all kinds of information to help you. And I encourage you to go ahead and download it. You might even want to print it and have it as your own. Scrolling all the way to the bottom, you'll see that it's 32 pages long. Make sure you download it, take a look at it, print it, and that's it for the 10 cards that are in the Windows 10 Getting Started tips. I'm Huey Poplock, and thanks for joining. So that was the part 2, and yesterday I did part 1 and part 2. Oops, I almost hit the wrong button here. Let's make sure I close the right thing. And I would like to just kind of add a couple of items here. And these are some extras. One thing that I didn't mention in the video, and by the way, I noticed I made a mistake in one of them where I was showing uh, the updates to the security, and when I started talking about it, I wasn't showing the security ones. But anyway, I wonder if you caught that. Uh, I also did mention yesterday the Windows 10 Field Guide. It's a full-length ebook about the latest version of Microsoft Windows, aimed at those users who upgrade or buy a new computer. But it's probably the best and most up-to-date guide to Windows 10 that I've ever seen. And they update it on a regular basis. The last update you can see right here was February 7th, and they do update it on a regular basis. You go to this website and you can buy it for $10. It's a PDF, an EPUB, and there's 2 or 3 other, I think Kindle, you can get the version. So you're going to have it available. I don't advise printing it. I think it was well over 500 pages. And so I certainly don't think you want to print it. As I say, it gets updated on a regular basis, and the updates don't cost anything. They are going to change that because they found now after 5 years of doing updates, they're not getting any income and they're not selling many because people already have it. But if you haven't, this is a good tool to have in your arsenal. You can search it because it is a PDF or an EPUB, and you can search it and find the topics that you're looking for. And quite a few times I've found different things that I wanted. And as long as I have this open, let's go ahead and just go to this. I do want to mention to you that most of you know, because a lot of you are on there, and I see a couple of people in the waiting room here. The Tech for Seniors is hosted by myself and Ron Brown, who's online. It's every Monday from 11:30 to 1:15 Eastern time, and because we've been filling up, we have a license for 100 people, and we're hitting the 100. You can go to YouTube and go to Ron's YouTube channel and watch it there. You can't participate, but you'll be able to watch it. And that's also, we replace the online streaming version with the recording usually that night or the next day. So you get to see what the Q&A is about, but you don't get to, you won't see it if you're watching the live streaming. And if you go to Tech for Senior, you can get more information and the link. Notice that's Tech for Senior with no S. And of course, the Windows SIG, make sure you sign up for the newsletter if you're not getting it. And this Thursday is the 3rd Thursday of the month, and we'll be doing our Learning Chromebooks. And you do have to pre-register. And if you go to bit.ly/learning Chromebooks, it'll take you to where you can fill out the form. As soon as you fill it out and submit it, you'll get a unique link for yourself. If you're already on that list, if you've already signed up for it, you don't have to do it again. It will be the same link. And I'll send a reminder out at least once, maybe twice during the coming week. So, Are there any questions about the video or anything I've talked about since then?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Sure, Dave.
You went over the Windows updates screen, and I was wondering about the optional updates. There's usually a lot of drivers in there. What's the consensus on doing those updates? It
I
says,
usually, I usually take a look at them, and a lot of the times I will install them. But you know, sometimes it's things that probably I'm not going to use. Sometimes it is. I don't know. I just kind of look at them each individually.
you ever find any that just try to install but don't? They crash on you?
Mm, I don't remember recently that happening, but it may have in the past.
Yeah, I
But,
try
but
to
again,
run
if they're
those.
optional, they don't install. They're optional, so it doesn't matter.
So I usually try to run them, and there's always one in the group that just hangs or crashes, and then so what's the point of that? No,
Yeah, 'cause, you may not have the other pieces and parts that it may need, unless somebody else has a comment about that. That would be my opinion.
okay.
Okay. Also, in the start menu, I didn't get into the fact that you can resize. There's different size boxes that you can have. You can make, if you're going to make it a folder box in your start menu, you can make that much larger. You can make it smaller. You can you can play around with how that start menu works. If you remember, that start menu is what they try to force on us in version, I think it was version 8 of Windows. And then in version 10, they said, okay, you can use it or not use it, whatever you want. So I use it some. There's a few things I like to have on it. It's easier to find some things sometimes, but I don't use it as my start menu. I go back to the start button.
Huey, I got a question.
Sure.
I find the updates confusing as well, and I was wondering what everyone's opinion was. On my ThinkPad with the software, it has like its own proprietary driver update, and the same thing with my Dell. The Dell software has its own update drivers and does all the wonderful things as well. And I don't know. And then of course Windows come along and they want to do it as well. I'm not sure which one I should be using. And if I update the Dell drive, you know, and it does all the things and says, well, you got to update all this. If Windows come along, should I update Windows as well? I mean, sometimes these are different drivers, and I'm confused at what we should be doing.
Common sense explanation is if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, that's the same thing for BIOS updates too. I mean, BIOS could be 5 years old, but you still don't really need to fix anything. So,
right.
And that may be why some of my drivers crash. I'm getting drivers from Intel directly, and then the stuff from Windows may be conflicting with those. Maybe
that's right. That's exactly right. The BIOS is different because the BIOS is, you're not going to get a BIOS from different companies, right? So that's going to be probably the okay. But you're absolutely right. Like, what happens if Dell brings out a driver for your whatever, and then Windows comes along and they've got an updated driver? So what should you, I don't know what you should do.
Back up first.
I'd go with the manufacturer first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Huey?
Yes.
In the quick access, there's one other little thing you can do. You can rearrange those icons in there to make it so that it's the way you like them. If you right click on any of the icons, one of them is to edit. And once that edit is in place, then you can go ahead and move those tiles around to any way you want. And then you stop editing, and that's where it gets locked.
Yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. What he's saying is, I'll screw mine up first. I think I have to hit escape and then bring this up. Oh, let's make this a little bit larger. You can move these things around as you want. You can take, let's see.
No, not that one. Quick
Okay.
access, bottom right on the taskbar. all the way over,
Oh, you're talking about over here,
over there. Yeah. That baby.
right here in the corner?
No.
Or
That
you're
one.
talking about here?
Yep.
Okay, no, okay.
Now, when you right click on any tile, one option will be there to edit.
Yeah, go to settings or edit quick actions. Yeah,
Right. When you click, now you can
Yeah.
move those tiles.
you can move them around, you can pin them.
Yeah.
And you can add more. And then when you're done, you click done. So if you want to add more, I could add Wi-Fi, I guess. I'm not sure if you can add anything or just certain ones, but yeah, you can move them around. I don't have Wi-Fi on here because I don't use Wi-Fi on this computer. This is direct wired and I don't need it. So I don't have it. So then when you're done, you just click that and it puts it in place. And you can move them around when it's in that position as well as what you're saying. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, you can only move them to your favorite place when the edit is in place. Once you're done, then they're locked.
Yep. But it's a handy tool to have to go to airplane mode real quick if you're on your laptop and some of the other things as well. Any other questions, comments? Okay, let's share some more. How are we doing for time? Okay. And next item is Microsoft will uninstall its old Edge browser from Windows PCs on April 13th. Let's take a look at that article, and I'm going to use the print friendly. And what that means is, oh, where is it here? Oh, it's got a lot of articles in it, so let's find the right article first. Close that. There we go. Now, well, it may have taken Microsoft the better part of a decade to get people off of Internet Explorer, but the company has more decisive retirement plan for the previous version of Edge. If you remember, it wasn't too long ago that Microsoft went from the Microsoft version of Edge to a Chromium-based Edge and then changed the name. People like Mary Jo Foley and Paul Thurrott call it Credge, the combination of the Chromium and Edge. But most of it, if you're using Edge, you're probably using the Chromium-based version based on the Google Chrome. But you could have both on your computer. You could have the original Edge and Credge. But starting April 13th, during their updates, they're actually going to remove it, whether you want them to or not, from your Windows, the older version of Edge. I don't know if it's going to make any difference to you. The version of Edge Microsoft is installing is the one that launched alongside Windows 10 back 5 years ago. It uses the company's own Edge HTML rendering engine. In 2019, the company announced it was rebuilding the browser from the ground up to take advantage of Google's Chromium software. In June of last year, Microsoft started rolling out through a Windows update. 2 months later, Microsoft announced it wouldn't issue any additional security updates for the legacy Edge after March 9th, 2021, which is just in a few weeks. And then now in April, they're going to totally uninstall it from your computer. So just be aware that it's going to disappear. It's not going to tell you that it's going, it's just going to go away. Microsoft's vision for the future embraces working from home forever. Now, I included a short video, and I hope you watched it in the newsletter. It's only about 3 minutes long, but I'm not going to show it again because hopefully you watched it. That's why I added it to the newsletter. If you're not reading the newsletter, even though you get it, and a lot of people don't even open it, But if you're not doing that, you're going to miss out on things like this. But it's a concept video, and is notable for some drastic differences in Microsoft's tune. In previous version videos, Microsoft seemed to look forward toward a future when every surface is a Windows device. Your counters, your mirrors, your windows, actual windows, your newspaper, and even your fashion accessories. Over the last 10 years, Microsoft Vision videos have been consistent, and we can examine a video going back to 2015 if you want to click on that in the article to see where the company's thinking was. That video poised that it was in 5 years now, we'd use every surface as a working device, your walls, your window, your countertops. Microsoft suggested we create new foldable devices similar to newspapers, new tablets, wireless earbuds, and larger touch screens along the way. Some of that's true. We've had early examples of foldable devices, larger touch screens, and wireless earbuds are everywhere. But while Microsoft focused on concept devices, the message behind its vision is that we can be more productive in the office and on the go. More productivity means you take work everywhere, and nearly every collaboration happens in person. Microsoft's new vision video is distinctly different. Ignore the CGI holograms for a moment, and you'll notice something. None of the devices are concepts. Behind the holograms, you'll see Surface Pros and Surface Duos, real devices. The point isn't what our devices will be like someday, but how our work life is changing. In past videos, Microsoft envisioned a world where our gadgets made us more productive in the office and at a restaurant. The videos dreamed of how we'd work together in person. The latest video eschews all that and focuses on working almost entirely from home. The video introduces us to Mila, a woman about to begin her first day at work. Does she go into an office to meet her colleagues and fill out paperwork? No. She calls from home via video conferencing. In the morning, she gets up, makes breakfast, gets ready for work with hints of a plausible smart mirror, and then heads to her office in her home to start work. And that's where she stays. We see one instance where she shows up at the office for a quick meeting, but otherwise she always works from home. When it's time to deliver a presentation on a new idea, she does that from home too, through a strange hologram we'll call telepresence. It's the most important day of her job yet, and she doesn't leave home. That's a big deal because the more people are working from home right now due to the pandemic, most companies, including Microsoft at one point, have treated it as a temporary measure. Something will end when the world gets back to normal. But now Microsoft seems to be embracing where working from home is the new normal. It says more people will permanently maintain their offices in their apartments and houses. We may occasionally visit the office if necessary, but that's the exception, not the rule. Virtual calls will work for even the most critical tasks. The fact that Microsoft isn't showing off any true future tech outside the holograms is the most telling part. Most of the actual processes are plausible with the technology and devices we have right now. We don't need holograms to see 6 faces on a video call. A larger monitor will do. We can give feedback, write up documents, make proposals, all virtually. And Viva is what Microsoft's calling it, their new intranet program, enables that now. Microsoft's vision for the future is a world where companies embrace the realities of this moment, even after the pandemic fades away. Working from home is plausible now, and while there may always be a place for offices, you may seldom visit it. You won't take your work with you everywhere. Your work is already with you before you even leave home. For once, Microsoft's vision seems born in reality and plausibility. and is working on tools we might use to make it happen. We'll see how it shakes out in 5 years. I thought that was a great article, and watching the video, and I hope you do watch it. Somebody made a comment here, Mike Ungerman, Chromium, not Chrome, is an open source project. Many people and companies contribute to it. Once Microsoft found that there were so many vulnerabilities to IE and Edge, they were spending too many resources fighting those vulnerabilities. Yep. So it's easier to join the consortium that use and contribute to the Chromium project and build their Edge front end on top of Chromium. And so, but going past that, where Microsoft is now embracing people working from home, and it's let's see, how do I close this? There we go. So it's changing the way it's looking at what the future is. So those of us who are retired and worked in an office environment, that office environment is going to change considerably over the next just few years, and has already changed in the past year because of the pandemic. Let's stop the share and see if we got some comments. Or I just thought it was very interesting, and if you watch that little video, that people, the younger people are just embracing working from home. They're getting used to it, and the companies with all this huge office space is just they're going to stop using it.
I can tell you that Microsoft isn't alone.
Oh,
I know
no.
for a fact that Avast is also making that move, has for quite some time already. Yes, there'll be a day here and a day there to come in to do a face-to-face, but most of this stuff, it can be done just as well from home as it can if you were going to the office, and it saves everyone a bunch of money.
Right, there's not, and the individuals, those people who are working that way, the people in the working force, they don't have to sit in their car. Some of them sit for an hour and a half going in each direction. That's 3 hours a day they waste commuting. They're not going to have to do that. Maybe once a week, once a couple of times a month or something. But for the most part, their productivity time will increase, or their free time is going to increase.
It does put a burden of maintaining a home office on people with families. Houses don't always support that.
You're absolutely correct. The way people live is going to be a lot different as well, especially those with young kids, young families. But it's going to allow them to be able to work at home and to take turns babysitting the kids in different ways than what we're used to. They could have somebody take turns during the day, especially if both are working. One could be online with their meetings, the other one working in the office, and the kids playing in the office, and then go to the other office, and so on. The whole thing's changing.
You have a
My son
24
is
hour
doing that, and it's not really working out very well.
You have a 24-hour workday now. You don't have to be there 9 to 5. You could be there 5 to 9. You could be there whatever you choose. That's one of the differences.
The interesting thing is I'm retired. My second retirement was from Army Civil Service, and their facility is about 5 miles down the street from me. And when the pandemic started, of course, they sent everybody home and said, okay, take your notebooks home and work from it. And we had long ago started using notebook computers that use docking stations to get on the company network, if you will. And so it was easy to take those home and just continue going through the VPN and working from home. And before this was considered commuting, if you will, at home, many people in middle-level management were expected to have their BlackBerry and their computer and be responsive from home even after they put in a full 8-hour working day. So now, and I understand they're using Microsoft Teams, you check in, get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, your coffee, whatever, you check into Microsoft Teams, the clock starts running, and you've got an 8-hour workday, and you can break that up as necessary. You answer your email, you do your projects, you check out, maybe go out, mow the grass, water the lawn, wash the car, come back, check back in again, the clock starts running. And as long as you put in your 8-hour day, you've just worked from home instead of going into work, and you've divided it up to match your schedule.
Another example here. You don't know, I work for the Ninth Circuit Court. It's Orange and Osceola. But since the pandemic, the court system has been forced into that online environment. We're totally teams oriented now. Judges, lawyers, defendants, attorneys, they're all in different locations, but they all have to meet, and it's never going to go back. I've been writing software to allow that sort of activity. It started to be a temporary sort of fix, but I can tell you right now, we're never going backwards. It's going to be a court system that's based on online, from, you know, everybody since dispersed areas having their trials. I'm still trying to figure out how we're get the jurors to actually be online, but maybe it's something like this.
Yeah, or watch Bull, the TV program. But yeah, and somebody mentioned about the taxing implications as far as your home office and so on, but also look at all of the buildings that are going to be empty, that aren't going to or not be built, that big cities rely on for taxes. They're going to be empty, or they're not going to be used, or they're not going to be built in the future. So there's going to be a lot of things affected by this type of change in the way we work.
Apparently everything but traffic. I don't know where the traffic is going every day. What's the deal with the traffic?
Well,
If people aren't working, if they're working at home, where are they driving? I don't get it.
Yeah, well,
I
this is Florida. It's old retired people.
I think part of it is the fact that those people that worked 8 hours a day at office were only working about 5 hours. Now they're doing it in about 4 hours from home, so they got more spare time. Simple as that. You know, I was part of executive management at the time, and I retired 21 years ago, and I followed around by a cell phone all, you know, the last year and a half I worked. It was a good incentive to retire. You never got away from them. They were, at any time of the day or night, they could call and ask you what's going on. Or,
Oh yeah. Well, now at least with logged time online that counts as work, they're going to have to pay you overtime because you're going to be documenting it. If indeed they expect you, in quotes, to contribute more than your 8 hours a day.
well, that'd be nice, Mike.
Yeah, remember the days when we used to have to carry a beeper around?
Oh
We had
yeah.
to stop somewhere and find a phone to call in
Oh yeah.
to respond to it. So things change normally anyway, but this is going to be I think a big change in the way life is going on. It's not going to, most of us, as I look around and see where there is hair, it's gray. And it's not going to affect most of us, but it is going to affect our kids or grandkids if you have them, and just the society in general. And like you say, people are going to be on the roads at different times in different ways. There's not going to be a drive time anymore. So advertising on radio is going to change, because drive time is when they charge the most. On your way to work and on your way home, those ads are more expensive because they have the biggest audience. Well, that's not going to be true anymore. So now even radio stations are going to have to adjust how they do, how they charge their customers and so on. So there's going to be a lot of little things in our lives that are going to be affected by this, that when we start thinking about it, really is going to make a huge difference. And
Biggest problem right now is that you have a very large change happening in such a very, very short, compact time frame. Okay, it's fine to get used to change over time, but this thing was just shoved down your throat. You had no choice. You had to learn to adapt. And some people don't like to be forced to adapt to anything.
Yeah, and I would say that a lot of us who are members of user groups know a lot of people who are that way. You know, I'm in a retirement community. There's a lot of people still in this community either don't have have an email address and smartphone, or they only have a flip phone or no phone at all.
We know where advertising's going. I mean, Morgan and Morgan starts doing TikTok. We know where advertising's going to be.
Good point.
Why I've
And-
moved to apps that have no advertising. You
Yeah.
get me started on my soapbox on that.
But
Well-
each of us, Marshall, go ahead.
As a point of interest, if any of you use the Bravo browser, it's one of the only browsers that I'm aware of that eliminates all advertising. It's worth a shot.
Brave.
Yep. So there's ways around some of that, but the younger people aren't looking for that. They're just and sometimes I like to watch the ads. That's how I learn things. I learned what new products or what movies are coming to the theaters, or if we're going to have theaters in the next couple of years, what movies are going to be on TV anyway, or which
I'm
service is going to have them.
already streaming the main movies now from
Yeah.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
I chose to go there instead of Netflix because I was getting more actual, current movies that I wanted to see instead of a lot of the old stuff.
But if Netflix may have something you want, so now all of a sudden you're spending more money because you're using two services.
Actually, I turned it on for 1 month. They gave me a special deal, $8.99 for high def, which is normally $8.99 for basic. And theoretically, it's going to kick back when 30 days are up, and I'm just going to quit again in 29 days.
Yep, and there's ways around that, but
Yep.
So you have to be careful, especially when you bite for one of those, that you do close it off and not get charged the full amount the following month. But
That's what my little box sitting above my computer does from ALEXA, reminding me. I can just set my reminders there.
okay, any other comments, questions? Several of you haven't made any comments. You're welcome to. But yeah, so things are really changing for us and quickly. So those of us who have been members of user groups have seen a big change. And I talked about that, last month, or no, it was 2 months ago when I did the old, no, it was last month when I did the old bus lines and so on, going back to 77 and so on. And now look how quickly things are changing for all of us. Okay, let's.
Well, if you think about it, we're using Zoom now like some people used to use Skype, but it never took off. You could have groups in Skype, and we had lots of point-to-point, conversations with the grandkids and so on, but Zoom has just mushroomed into this multi-conferencing system that's got its own life.
Yep. And so next on here is Bing Wallpaper. Let me go there. And I got something, I forgot where I saw this, but it was Bing Wallpaper. It's an app that you can put on your Windows machine, and every day you get a different wallpaper. Now I turned it off for this week because I'm doing a lot of presentations and I don't like a lot of clutter on my screens. But let me go out and I'm going to minimize this, and if I can find it quickly. I believe let's see if it's here. I got to remember where I put it. No, maybe it's in downloads. Bing Wallpaper. But that's the program. But I put some video, some of the pictures that you can do. But let's just go back to the website, I guess. I didn't set that up on my screen, but you get a new picture every day, and the pictures are gorgeous. And it changes it automatically every day. I just thought it was an interesting. Let's see. This is install now. Get the app. Yeah. Here's one. Let's see. And then go back. This was yesterday's. The day before's. These were just the last few days. This one was gorgeous. And this one, let's see, not this one. Okay. It only goes back about a week that I can go, but some of them were just gorgeous.
The
And
nice thing is they tell you what the picture is about.
yeah. So just if something you like to have on your screen, some pictures and so on, you can put your own pictures and have a picture show. But if you want, you can use theirs, and every day it's a different picture. And finally, is why you should never unsubscribe from illicit spam emails and texts. Okay. Some of us can be a little too diligent when dealing with email or text spam, because whatever you do, you shouldn't click on unsubscribe links or text stop in reply, as they literally mean subscribe and please go on to illicit spammers. Let me make this bigger. Let's see, text. I think I can go even bigger than that. Let's see. Any interaction with spammers is bad. There's a difference between illicit spam sending your malware links and selling fake insurance rates versus that newsletter you signed up for and may no longer want. And in this case, we're referring to the former. As these spammers blast out millions of texts or emails every day, they aren't actually targeting you specifically. In fact, they may not even know if your email or phone number is even valid. They are looking for signs of an active account, however, as a valid email address or phone number is valuable for conducting further scams. By toggling unsubscribe or replying in any way, you validate that your contact information and risk inviting even more spam. They say, hey, wait a minute, this is an address that somebody's looking at, and I can send me even more, and I'll give other people this same address. And so you're going to get even more stuff. So what do you do with spam? The easy part is that you basically do nothing. When you get a spam email, mark it as spam, delete it, the email before opening it. Likewise, with text, you can simply delete them without replying and block the number. That said, the FTC recommends reporting spam messages by forwarding them to a number 7726, which spells spam. However, if you're not tech savvy, fiddling with a spam can increase the chance of accidentally clicking on a malware link somewhere in the message, and you should never click on unsolicited links. If you're not comfortable forwarding text, don't sweat it, just delete it. Block and then ignore. Otherwise, you can forward spam text using these steps for either your Android or your iPhone. And by the way, blocking, an interesting story this week. I went to my cardiologist as a follow-up to my operation from 2 weeks ago. And they said, they're calling my number and all they get is a busy signal. I said, cell phones don't get busy signals. It goes to voicemail. That can't be right. You're dialing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. I had the phone in my hand and I'm at the desk for the girl. And I said, please call my number. She called it. She says, here, listen. And there was a busy signal. And so I said, there's something wrong with your system, because everybody, the spammers get through to me. And so when I got home, I called AT&T, and who's my provider, and I said, what's going on? Why can't my doctor get hold of me? And it's going to a busy signal. And the girl who happens to, I asked her where she was, and she said, I can't tell you, but I'm in Asia. She did check, and she says, you blocked that number. Well, I must have done it accidentally, because I certainly didn't block my cardiologist on purpose. But the number was blocked, and that's why it was getting a busy signal. So if somebody tells you they can't get through to you, that might be you blocked their number by mistake. And I know what happened. I was probably trying to get it into my contact list in my address book, and somehow I hit a wrong button, because, you know, I'm pretty tech savvy, but when it comes to my phone and taking a phone number that somebody called me on and trying to get that into my contact list, I still haven't figured it out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I know what happened. I clicked on something and it marked it as blocked. And so that's what was happening. So I got it. So she unblocked it for me, told me how to do it in the future, and told me what caused it. So now I know. And so I'm passing it on to you. If somebody says every time they call you, they're getting a busy signal, you probably blocked them. Okay, to continue with this, how to avoid spam. Spam is a part of life. But as the FTC recommends, there are some simple, useful tips that can help you prevent it. Avoid displaying your email address in public. Almost impossible. Ron and I have talked about, do we put our email address on our presentations? You know, you want people to be able to contact you, but how much do you want it out there? Spammers scrape blog posts, chat rooms, social networking sites, and forums. So the less of it that's out there, the better. So don't put your email address in Facebook. Tell them to IM you, and then you do it privately. Don't post it on there. Get a hold of me at such and such at Gmail. No, don't do that. Use 2 email addresses, or like me, 35 email addresses, one for personal messages and one for everything else. Ideally, the second public-facing email address should be one you're willing to delete one day if needed. Personally, this is from the author of this article. Personally, I use a second pseudonymous email address, which I call my junk email, and I use it to sign up for promotions or newsletters. Looking at it now, it has twice the number of spam emails compared to my regular addresses. And there are some, and you can have multiple email addresses and have just one to sign up for things. I have one like that. Mike has used, Mike Ungerman, you've used Protonmail. But there are some, there's one, it's called, I think, a 10-minute mail. And if you do a search on it, I think it's 10minutemail.com, but don't quote me on that. I don't want to send you to the wrong place. But it gives you a mailing address for 10 minutes. So you can sign up for something, download what you want, and then that address goes away. So there's some ways around it. Don't be giving away your email address at every website you go to. If a website wants me to create a login for something that I only want one time, or that you know, there's no reason that I really need to sign up for it. You know, it's a freebie or it's a download. And yeah, I know they're trying to build a mailing list and so on. But if I want it that bad, I'm going to use something like a short-term mailing address or a junk mail address, and not use my real email, because I don't know what they're going to do with it. Use a truly original address that's unlikely to be created by spammers. Spammers send out millions of messages to probable names and combinations at large ISPs. So if you're on AOL, they hit every combination of everything that they can with AOL.com or with Gmail and some of the others, hoping to find a valid address. That means common first and last name email addresses are more likely to attract spam. As the first Mike Winters on Hotmail, this is what the guy who wrote this, I can warily confirm that this is true. So, be careful where you post your emails, but also have some email addresses that you can use for junk mail only. And the last thing that I was going to cover today is going to be tomorrow on Tech for Seniors, is how to create a Windows 10 USB recovery. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, see what comments we have or additional questions about anything. Don't all talk.
I have a question.
Sure.
I want to ask Mike what he likes about Proton email.
It started out just checking it out for the tech SIG. We had a session about a year ago, I guess, in person, where we had talked about alternate email addresses, and this is a common thread that we've covered before. So I honestly don't remember how I came across Protonmail. I was also looking for VPNs. And of course, there are paid VPNs and free VPNs, and Bob did an excellent review of those in one of his Tech for Seniors segments. And Protonmail does offer a free VPN as well in conjunction with their email accounts. They offer end-to-end encryption. So if two Protonmail subscribers send each other an email, it's encrypted at their web client, goes through the servers in Switzerland, of all places, encrypted, and then goes out to the recipient, who also then gets it on his Protonmail client and decrypts it. So a good example, I've got some personal information that I share with my son on a regular basis, once a month, an emergency document that just has current sources of balances, life insurance policy information, things like that. I could post it as a file and have him download it, but now I send it to him from my Protonmail account to his Protonmail account. And you can get a free account. It's limited to 150 messages a day coming in or going out. So if you get on a spammers list, it's going to overwhelm it. But just for using it as an address for something that you can throw away and delete, and you can throw the account away and open another one up. I have a paid account which has no limitations, and I find it worthwhile to pay for it.
Do you find like the format is different than Gmail or?
No, it's got it's got a normal compose window. It's got contacts. You've got a contact book. You can import your contacts from Gmail and from Microsoft and other sources. I chose not to import my entire contact list because it was so large. So as I would send out emails, I turned on save to contacts for any of my outgoing emails. And then I just took groups of people that I knew I wanted to maintain contact with, sent them out an email, would put them in my contact list. And then those that responded to me, I put them into groups, just like you have Google groups in your Google contacts. So it's got most of the features that most email clients have.
Okay.
I'm going to
Thank you.
share my screen again, because I want to show you something that you'll see on my screen. This is the way I look at my emails when I first get them using Outlook. And you'll see that, not very interesting, but it protects me. If there is any kind of HTML, either a JPEG, PNG file, picture file, or a link or something in it, that if I click on it, I can get infected. I'm looking at it just as text. If I know that this is something I want to look at, I click here and it says we converted this message into plain text format. When I click it, I say displays HTML. As soon as I do that, now I can see the whole email. So every email I look at first as a text message. And then if I want to then see what it is. And I do that in Outlook, but I'm also doing that I use Mailwasher as a way to clean my mail before I look at it in Outlook. And Mailwasher is strictly by default is text. I look at the text, and then if I delete it right from Mailwasher, it deletes it off the server and it's gone. So if any spam, I just click a little box next to Mailwasher. Let's see if I can. Well, I don't want to do it because all the addresses show. I'll show you Mailwasher. I need to put together a presentation on Mailwasher and show you. I've been using it for years, and I love it because I have 35 email addresses that go into it. I can look at them all together. I mark off all of the junk mail, delete it off the server before I even look at it in Outlook. Then I download it all to Outlook and then clear it off the servers. And but it also, I look at all of them with text. So sometimes if you send me a really fancy email, I may never see all of it because I've looked at it as a text. I got the gist of what I wanted from it, and I may not even open it as an HTML file, but it's a way of protecting myself, and it really has helped a lot. Comments? Andy? No. Anybody?
I use one
Yes,
called
yeah.
EM.
I have a question
It's
about
a three-layer
Hang
thing.
on, Andy,
It does,
just a
it
minute.
does one that opens like yours, just text. It goes one more jump, it opens more of it, and then there's the three dots up in the corner if you want to see everything the way they sent it. It's not free though. It's free for one email, and you can have multiple accounts if you pay for it.
Yeah, Mail Washer is not free either, but they had a lifetime special, sometimes with 50% off. And I bought that several years ago, so I don't have to renew every year. Andy, you had a question or a comment? Andy Davis. I think it was you. You're muted.
Well, I do. I do want
Okay.
to ask Proton, IMAP or a POP account?
Mike?
No, Protonmail is its own, because it's end-to-end encryption. You have to use their client in any browser. And what happens is once it's loaded, you can actually see it setting up the encryption keys as you open it up. And then it is synchronizing with the server so that you actually don't need a VPN in the middle to send to their servers, because it is acting that way. And then the servers normally do not decrypt it if it's going to another Proton client. If it's going out to the rest of the world on the outbound leg, just as in the outbound leg of a VPN server, it's decrypted and sent to its destination.
Well, if
But
I look at it from a different computer, will I see the entire mailbox or?
Yes, as long as you have put in other words, if you go to www.proton.com, protonmail.com in a browser and sign into your account or set up an account, at that point, the web app, if you will, is acting as the encryption decryption. So I've had it open on my laptop in the family room and here in my office where I'm sitting in my desktop at the same time, and I can just go to any other notebook. I also have both Android and Apple apps that work the same way.
Thank you.
So in other words, Mike, you can't use something like Outlook if you got a Proton Mail.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't use the IMAP or the POP3 inquiries, because then it wouldn't be encrypted.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Stan, I don't see our speaker for the main meeting. So we've got a little bit extra time.
I have not heard from him.
So any other questions or comments? We got a little bit of time. Hopefully, and Andre will be connecting.
Huey
with us.
did cover, I guess it was for us some time ago, the 10-minute mail applications. If you mistype it and you type com, you get one service. And if you type it 10minutemail.net, you get the original. They both work about the same way, but there are some different features. And I don't remember which one I prefer. One of them I preferred over the other in terms of ease of getting back to them and actually seeing a response. If they say enter your email for confirmation, and then they send you a code and you're supposed to put that code in, into your phone or into their email and confirm it. One of them will let you extend the amount of time, normally 10 minutes, and the email address expires, but you can extend it several times. So you can get up, I think you can get up to 30 minutes of extension on that particular email address, but it does provide a valid email address so that you can get onto sites that require it.
Strange, but valid.
Yeah, well, a good example, I think, is the Wall Street Journal and New York Times too. Both of them want you, if you come across an article where the link has been sent to you or is posted, and you'd go to read the article, and about a third of the way down the page, it sort of fades out and it says subscribe in order to read the remainder of this. So they want an email address so they can get on the list. So as I recall, one of them, it wouldn't accept the email address. So I just went to the other one and it did. So it's good to have both of these bookmarked and use them when those kinds of situations come up.
Any other questions, comments?
That's when I forget about the article and decide I don't really need to read it.
Yeah, but sometimes there's something in there
Yeah.
that you want to quote. I want to grab it for my Evernote, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll use the not the Proton, the 10-minute mail, get the article, save it into my Evernote, and forget about it. And I've got a copy of it.
Maybe, one of the things you can do is the print friendly, use print friendly in PDF.
Mhm.
If that issue comes up and they put up a block, if you click on the print friendly in PDF, it works fine. It takes the article, strips it out for you, and you have the whole article right there to read.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that'll work sometimes. They haven't blocked that yet. I
And
don't
block
think.
that, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some other ways you can do it too. What I've done sometimes just taken the title of the article and did a quick search on it, and somebody else has already posted it somewhere in a complete form, so you can get the article at a different place, even though it's a Wall Street Journal article or a New York Times article. Okay, Stan. I'm going to, let's see, let me do one thing here.
Huey, I wanted to ask one question of Mike Leach regarding, as you were mentioning, in other words, a printer-friendly view. In other words, if you just right-click an item somewhere and you on the internet, or that you want to print it, you right-click and it says print as, or to a printer, or print as a PDF. But I've forgotten where I see that it says printer-friendly. Is it right there? In other words, am I overlooking that option right there? Let's just
No,
say
the only one is printer friendly is that add-on that I've demonstrated in the past.
I probably missed that. I like the idea because a lot of times
Which is this.
You'll get a newspaper article and you get all the background print. It overlaps, and so you don't really get a true copy of it. You just get jumble.
Yeah, and this is an add-on, and it's called come on, print friendly and PDF. And
Okay.
it's an add-on and I know they have it this is Chrome, but I think it's also available in several of the other browsers as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay, this has been the Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group, or WinSIG, for Sunday, February 14th, 2021. I thank you for joining. We're going to take a short break, and then it will be the Central Florida Computer Society's main meeting, and I'll be turning that over to Stan Wallner. So thank you for joining. Those who are online, please stay online if you wish, and we'll see you next month and tomorrow on Tech for Seniors. I'm going to stop the recording.